evening all. So here we go, part 2 of Aliens Colonial Marines. I'm amazed I am actually doing a part 2 because I was slightly disappointed with part 1. Although, having said that, I don't think it was as bad as I was reading about. Obviously, lots of people had made some pretty nasty comments about this game. So, I mean, the thing is, with any franchise like Aliens, you kind of got a high expectation here. Do you know what I mean? It's like you watch the films or you read the books or whatever the franchise is, and when they do a game or whatever platform it is, the expectation is so high of what it's going to be. Now, to be honest, if you kind of break this game down, it's not bad. It's an okay shooter. So here in this case, we're actually fighting human enemies here. Yeah, the AI is not terrible. It's not brilliant. It's not terrible. And certainly the graphics are pretty good. The sound's pretty good. I think it doesn't have the kind of solidity that some of the games do. So you think like Deus Ex Human Revolution, that had a real weight to it. You felt, every time you used to do a close quarter combat takedown with the Alex Jensen, you would actually be feeling like, wow, that felt like it hurt. Do you know what I mean? Whereas in this, I'm firing like explosive tipped ammunition, and it just feels a bit kind of, I don't know, it feels a bit light. It's almost as if I'm playing, a very light game. Maybe that's the thing. It's not got the deepness, the thump, of the wood bullets, things like that. There's only a few games I think have ever really done that. Obviously, one is Doom, but most of you are so young you probably never played Doom. Doom, and I mean properly Doom, not that weird sort of FMG film, and I don't mean the I don't mean the game that they released that was Doom 3, for example, which is okay. It's a good game. In fact, this game feels like Doom 3, so that's probably very similar to I think maybe what they've done here. The original Doom, obviously, it was shit graphics, but it had that kind of ka-chunk every time you fired the shotgun, every time you fired the chain gun and stuff like that. It just had a real kind of feel of weight to it. But anyway, I'm digressing. I think this game, as it stands at the moment, is not bad. There's emerging slowly through the mists of shitness is a not too bad story actually, because in this story currently we're trapped on the Suloco, and obviously somebody's been messing about with the Suloco while it's been in transit to wherever it was going and back to RV426. And I like it. I think they've actually done quite a good job of it, because you go from areas where there's lots of quarantine areas and such, where there's no sign of alien presence, then all of a sudden you go into areas where you just think, oh my god, what's going on here? Now, obviously, they're going to have to include a power loader, and I get the impression that I'm probably going to see this thing again at some point. But it's a nice idea. I think some of the Aliens games that I used to play way back, I can't remember which one it was. I think it may have been AVP 2 or something like that. It had more of a story to it, and you actually got the heavy suits, which actually were quite good fun actually, but they had no kind of merit for the story whatsoever. Okay, so this is where it starts to get a little bit scary. Now, let me explain why I may appear to be a bit more hesitant as I come through here. Like I said in the last video, when I've played the original Aliens vs Predator, the facehuggers would just make me they literally made me leap out of my chair once. As I was playing this game, I ran around a corner and something like that happened, okay? Now, at this point, I'm literally terrified, thinking, that's it, I'm dead. And then I realised it's a quick time scene. Now, I'm pretty scared at this point. You can see I'm absolutely rooted to my spot, waiting to kind of fire on this facehugger. And I realised, for some reason, I threw him forward, but he landed to the side of me. But don't know how that works. But facehuggers in AVP, and maybe this is something, to bear in mind, why this game maybe hasn't done as well as it could have. Facehuggers in the original game were one-hit kills. If they got you, if you know what I mean, if they actually got you, that's it, game over. You start again. And I think that kind of fear gave the game depth. Do you know what I mean? At this point, I'm assuming that every time one of them jumps at me, I can do a quick time event and get them off me. In which case, so disappointed. Really disappointed, because that was the one thing. I mean, I was terrified of the facehuggers. Literally, I would, I was, kind of tiptoeing through, desperately trying to avoid facehuggers. And I think that's really pissed me off with this game, is that you don't have any fear really here. If you can save your ass with a quick time event, then that's just pandering to the console jockeys. And I don't think that's particularly a good thing to do. They should have made this a much scarier thing. Now look, watch this. Okay, so that's pretty scary. Okay, that's terrifying, right? Knowing that facehugger is there and it was coming for me. But it's not scary, because considering the fact that I can just do a quick time event and get it off me. That destroys the game to me. That is ridiculous they did that. And I know I'm making such a big point about it, but I think, you know, if I might even do a video of the original AVP game, and you'll see it's not as good graphics, obviously, but the terror, the fluidity of the aliens, and they hit you so hard, and the acid burns you like God knows what, and everything about it just had it was such a hard game. It was the DayZ of the original. So there you go. Pretty scary. That's scary, okay. But the thing is, it's not when you just know that you can use your motion tracker to see it coming, and you can use your shotgun to blast it, and even if it gets you, you can just basically throw it off your face. So disappointed. But anyway, I'm not gonna dwell on it. In terms of a game, I still think it's not too bad, and I do stand by that. I love the Aliens franchise, and I think it's it's a joy to see that they've actually done an Aliens game, because I mean, think of the cultural reference. It's pretty old. The Aliens film was what, 1980 something. So it's quite a brave thing to do a game of something that's just so in terms of the kind of modern pop culture, it's not even up there anymore. Things like Prometheus and stuff like that have kind of given the whole Aliens a different, different backstory now. So I think it's interesting that they actually spent all this time doing a game on this. I mean, why don't they just do a game on When Harry Met Sally? You know what I mean? It's like culturally back then, probably it meant something, but now no one gives a shit about it, do they? Because you've got modern films and all that. So I don't know, a little bit kind of surprised, I think, that they spent so much effort on this. And I can see what they were trying to do. And I'm glad it didn't have Predators in it, because nothing wrong with the Predators franchise, but I was glad that they actually did just an Alien and Colonial Marine thing. So, I guess it's good that they're exploring the franchise and what it can do. Anyway, so in the story, we're now kind of meeting up with Bella. Now, I'll let you enjoy this exchange of commentary. See if you can see the bit where the big troll face should come up.
Was that the thing that was on your face when you woke up? Are you sure you're okay?
It was already dead, O'Neill. I'm fine. Alright, I pulled it off when I woke up, so nothing's gonna happen to me. It's just good to see some familiar faces.
Likewise.
Yeah, she'll be fine.
The Sephora's under attack. We're on our way down.
I know that, but that's why they put it in. It just makes me chuckle. It's funny, actually. I mean, it's pretty amusing, if you like, that they've left that in. But anyway, so here we go. So we've met it with Bella now, and in terms of the story, it's actually quite good in that the Suloco and the Sephora are actually blasting each other. Well, the Sephora is being blasted by the Suloco, and I wish they could have shown a bit more of that, because I always like the idea of the ships. The ships had massive guns on them. If you ever watch the film, you'll notice that the Suloco had huge kind of railgun style guns on them, and they seem to have a real kind of armament that could do some real damage. But yeah, I think it's just one of these things. That doesn't look good. Lots of blood. But I think it's one of these things that they obviously wanted to explore the alien universe a bit more. But I'd maybe have done it a different way. I think the Colonial Marines technology piece was always quite interesting. I think I'm sure James Cameron is making a lot of money off this game, because I think most of the IP for it was actually his. In which case, good to him. I like James Cameron. He's a good director. I know a lot of people don't like him for stuff like Avatar and that, but couldn't give a shit. I think he's all right. He does moderately entertaining films. I wouldn't say he's no Ridley Scott. Let's be honest. Ridley Scott to me is I still think one of probably the finest directors you'll find anywhere in Hollywood, I think, nowadays. And even some of the weird stuff he's done, like, I think was it 1492 was one of his films. It was still really good. It had every frame, because he's an artist, you see. He actually went to art school. And every frame of the film you could pause and it could be a piece of art. It could be a work of art. Do you know what I mean? And that's the kind of directors that I really quite enjoy, because, Alien was just the most incredible kind of artistic film when you look at some of the stills and what they did with that. So, and I'll probably say the same bit from Prometheus as well. I mean, I know a lot of people hated Prometheus. I kind of liked it myself. I thought it made sense. It kind of set properly what I thought the you know, the engineers would be. I think they could have done maybe a bit more with it, but. And, you know, that's just the way it is. But I think certainly when it comes to, you know, Aliens, it was still probably the most enjoyed of the franchise, because I think it was just kind of like, you know, non-compromising, crazy action and footage. And I think sometimes you want the sci-fi film to actually have some bloody sci-fi in it, and things like this, you know, this is definitely you know, why I'm playing the game. Really, that's pretty cool. So basically, the Sephora is taking a pounding, literally, and yeah, I don't know what it's shooting. It looks like it's shooting kind of little things in them. But anyway, I think, you know, they're obviously not firing the main batteries, because I think that would take out the ship in one shot. But let's not all get nerdy on that. These guys are actually, I think, Weyland-Yutani troops. So you know, pretty much they're the bad guys again. And I can only assume that they've been basically doing something with the alien that they found on the ship. Now, I'm interested to see where this goes to, because I read in the thing that the game doesn't all take place on the Suloco. You actually go to Hadley's Hope, what's left of it, and you actually can maybe, hopefully, even go to the engineer ship as well. In which case, I will squeal like a little child, because I think I'd love to actually, you know, kind of see that in a bit more. I'd love to see what the game level designers have done there. In terms of weaponry, not bad. I mean, the pulse rifle feels pretty good gun. I'm getting used to it. It's, I think this is the thing. Games like this, they take maybe a couple of plays to kind of get used to them. And I'm kind of enjoying it, actually. I think, you know, by this point, I was certainly, you know, having more of a blast when it comes to the game, the gunplay, which maybe it's just because I'm getting used to it, but I thought actually it was getting good, and I was getting quite into it. And it was nice not to fight aliens all the time. It was actually nice to fight human opposition, because obviously they're shooting back. And I think certainly some of because we're in the engineering deck now, so, you know, some of these fights were actually pretty decent. And I like that people have actually given a kind of you know, real detailed view of what the internals of the Suloco would look like. I always assumed it was quite a small ship. However, according to this, it's massive, and I do mean massive with a capital M, which is, you know, pretty cool. Got the tactical shotgun now, so this is obviously a better version of the shotgun. So we're Call of Dutying it up in here, because this is now getting a bit more kind of, you know, proper gun game stuff, which is good. I like the fact that you're not just stuck with like 5 guns tops. You know, you're actually going to have a bit of a range. And I think certainly the different types of shotgun. Again, I know I said it last video, shotgunning to me is just one of the most enjoyable thing in first-person shooters. I do love shotguns. It comes from the day I used to play Soldier of Fortune. I don't know if you remember that game. I don't mean the original Soldier of Fortune. You play John Mullins, who apparently is a real-life dude, who is some kind of, you know, pro-NRA crazy man, who was a soldier of fortune or something. And the thing about it was probably the most graphic game of its time, because it had like the damage you used to do. So if you shot someone in the head, it would blow their head off, which, you know, as a younger chap, was just something I absolutely laughed my ass off over. And I used to play it with a guy and we just used to have such a laugh playing it, because it was one of these things that I think, you know, at the time we'd just play stuff like Half-Life and, you know, the original Call of Duties and stuff like that, and they were just so kind of like, you know, that certainly never showed any damage on the body when you shot people. And I always thought, you know, when, you know, I think as a, you know, I'm always been interested in guns and stuff like that, so I think it was always pretty cool to see this new development of if you shoot someone in the arm, their arm flies off and they lie dead. You know, now I look back at it, it's obviously a bit macabre, but it's pretty funny, actually. No, I shouldn't be laughing at this stuff. See, look at that, isn't that funny? But I think there's certainly something that you know, just, I don't know, must be a kind of primal male thing, I guess, where we just love to see sort of carnage, shotgun fighting, stuff like that. But you know, I think this game's getting better, and it certainly did. These levels I thought were actually quite good. The AI isn't bad. It's not brilliant, but it's not bad. And I think certainly the fights were getting a bit more challenging as we went through the engineering deck. The feeling of solidity with this pulse rifle as well isn't great. I mean, there I'm like laying into people, but you know, they always have to take this thing where you're either going to be Arma 2 or you're going to be Call of Duty. And in Arma 2, then, you know, you're going to be kind of killing people with leg shots and stuff like that, or at least taking them down. In Call of Duty, you're just doing hit point damage to them until they hit a point where they hit 0, then they drop to the floor. Not as realistic and more arcade-like, but yeah, the thing is, everybody I'm sure would say the DayZ way of doing this or the Arma 2 way of doing this is better, but it's not really, because then obviously you can be shot down with one shot to the head, that kind of thing. So you have to kind of trade off how you could do it. This is very much run and gun arcade stuff where you can obviously, take bullets. In the other style, you obviously can't. One bullet and you're down, and that gets very frustrating. It's the realism, I guess, is the thing. Now, hopefully they do some mods for this, because it would be good to have a really, over-the-top, insane, crazy realism mod for not just the troops, but also the aliens as well, where, facehuggers will kill you with one shot. And, in fact, if there's any modders out there who are doing that, then, or if anybody knows anything, let me know, because it would be awesome to at least do some spotlights on it, because I think this game has got all the engine and the graphics and everything else to but it just needs the gameplay tightening up a bit. Do you know what I mean? It just needs that kind of feeling of the original AVP, where the aliens were quicker, a bit cleverer. They moved with real purpose, and everything else from the guns, and even the gunplay in the original was actually pretty realistic. It was better than this, where look, I've just put a few shots in that guy and he's up and running again, and it wasn't like that. Generally you had the feeling that your guns did a lot more damage than these guns do. These guns, I think, are firing rubber bullets or something. See, even the grenade. Right, I'm going to fire the grenade, right? This is the grenade launcher underneath. The guy takes like 3 shots to kill. I mean, even with the best armor in the world, surely a propelled grenade would do a huge amount of damage to someone. But, what can you do? A little less arcadey, a little bit more realistic. So, I'd love to see a DayZ style mod for this game. Just think how funny that would be. I don't mean with zombies. I mean, well, maybe with zombies. Zombies versus aliens. Now, that'd be pretty cool. But I think it'd be interesting to see how that works. A facehugger wouldn't really do much. The zombie would keep moving with the facehugger on him. And even when it bursts from his chest, I still don't think that would work. Anyway, I digress. I just think there's some real kind of... there's life in this game. I don't think it's dead. A lot of people are kind of, I think, there's a lot of negativity in modern culture, I think, now, when it comes to anybody's artistic effort. And, you have to expect, remember, a lot of people put their life and soul into this game for years, because it was on development for years. You have to be critical, but you also have to be fair with it. And I think, the game this isn't Deus Ex, this isn't Call of Duty, but it's not bad. And I think maybe maybe they were just basically rushing to get it out because it had been in development for so long. But and that's why maybe certainly the gameplay feels very light. It feels very arcadey. This is where I think the community really comes in. If this game survives by having a community, which I'm sure it will, a realism mod or maybe just a general beef up of everything, so guns being more deadly, aliens being more deadly, and so on. So look at that, I just shot that dude. Yeah, just doesn't feel as if the bullets are bullets. Do you know what I mean? And I think if they can tighten that up, I think there could be a very, very nice life for this game as an engine. Do you know what I mean? And that could be maybe the where it goes from this point forward. But so far, I mean, I was enjoying the game. By no means was I sort of suffering this. I think it was actually quite enjoyable. I love the stylization as well. So obviously they've taken the real. If you remember Alien, the original film, this bridge looks like it's from that Alien universe. All the stylization and the way the bridge has been set out, it's very, very familiar, which is awesome. But I think really, it just needs a little bit of tightening up is all I would say. A little tune-up is all this game needs to be, I think, exceptional. And I love the motion tracker as well. I do find that, that you're actually using it as a proper tool, that you can refer to. I love that. The pulse rifle as well I thought was pretty good, as I'm sure I'll find out with more of the other guns. But, there are just certain things that maybe, they just need to maybe fix. Maybe they could even do that in a patch or something. But it depends. I mean, what kind of game works nowadays? Well, Call of Duty and Battlefield 3 sell more than Arma 2, so people are always going to do an arcade game shooter before they'll do anything realistic. So it kind of takes the community, who are the non-casual gamers, because this is a casual gamers game. As in, people will kind of say, "Oh, I remember Aliens." They'll pick up the game, they'll play it for maybe a couple of days, and they'll never play it again. But the sale of that game is what is all that matters, and it's better to aim it at casual gamers than it is to aim it at a more elite elite. Oh my god, a more kind of smaller group of people who are kind of more into their gaming. So, you know, you have to kind of see why they made the decisions they made. But I don't think the game's dead. I think it's certainly going to be recoverable. And to this point, obviously, you can see here. You know, I'm sure you all guessed this was going to happen because, come on, you know, boom. Yeah, that could have been better, but oh well. So that's it. The Sephora is dead, and the Suloco is now. The Suloco is the only ship in orbit, which is pretty cool, and I like that. I think you know, games need that kind of feeling of severity and weight, and I do like that. So there we go. That was part 2. We'll keep playing this. I'm going to struggle through it, but I think so far it's getting more enjoyable. So hopefully you enjoyed that yourselves, and we'll see you next time.